Persona 5 Royal is an improvement to the original game in almost every way, but one thing I've seen a lot of people torn on is the two games' endings. That's why today, we are going to analyze each ending and compare the message behind them both to find out which game does it better. Stick around to find out! First, let's talk about the original ending of Persona 5. In this ending, the Phantom Thieves aim to free the world from the God of Control's rule and grant people free will, rather than taking the easy way out and accepting his offer in the Velvet Room, in which the metaverse still exists. You keep your powers and the Phantom Thieves are seen as heroes. Because everyone in such a world looks up to the Phantom Thieves to address societal issues, ordinary people quit taking initiative for themselves and delay resolving their own problems until someone else does. This goes against the game's entire message, which is one of freedom and having the power to change the world, regardless of what other people may say to you or how much you might desire to not do anything exceptional. You don't need superpowers to alter the world. Everyone has the potential to do so. The team chooses to call it quits after everything returns to normal and the accusations against the Phantom Thieves are dropped, since Joker intends to depart for his hometown. As a parting gift from his friends, they intend to go on one final road trip together. Ryuji declares that they changed the world as the van makes its way down the highway, and Morgana informs the group that they are now finally free to do as they like. In the final shot, Joker is seen lifting his head above the sunroof and taking in the fresh air of freedom, while staring directly at the player, conveying so much without saying a single word. This scene implies that the Phantom Thieves will continue to stay in touch and support each other even after their adventures together have ended. Vanilla Persona 5 ends on a much more hopeful note. Instead of feeling like an ending, it almost feels like a new beginning. The story of Persona 5 Strikers takes place in this timeline after all. But how does it differ from Persona 5 Royal's ending? This version of the game has been upgraded to incorporate a brand new semester, which adds an additional story arc that expands on the original game's ending and picks up right after defeating Yaldabaoth, in which Joker and his companions spend Christmas and New Year's Eve without any apparent problems, up until January 1st, where Joker awakens to discover a number of anomalies in his world. Morgana has suddenly turned into a human, Ryuji's leg is no longer broken, and many dead characters are suddenly brought back to life. Along with Joker, Akechi and Kasumi notice the weird events too. Kasumi returns to the palace she discovered back in October, and the three make the decision to investigate and go inside. They soon encounter Dr. Maruki, the school counselor, who reveals his motivation for bringing about this new reality and his goal of bringing about a world where everyone can live in eternal happiness. You are once again given an offer to either accept and alter the reality and live in a world where your friends' traumas have been erased, or to reject it and return to the real world. This is where things get interesting. What I find amazing about the third semester is that the answer to that question can differ from person to person, and it's entirely up to your ideals and convictions. In my opinion, a perfect reality like that is not worth living in, one where happiness is given to you. Not having to suffer any losses sounds great, but as a result you also don't grow or improve. You're pretty much no more than an empty husk, one without goals or aspirations. There is no better proof of this than if you take the time to actually talk to the NPCs during the third semester. Maruki's reality simply doesn't work because people aren't truly happy, and the world is stagnating as humanity is seeking every possible way to avoid feeling pain, leading to a life of monotony and dullness. People quickly start to feel unfulfilled, and achieving their goals doesn't make them feel anything, as there was never any challenge. Despite Maruki's good intentions, he created a world that is empty and meaningless. When you put it this way, his reality is almost no different than the one created by the God of Control. This is why the Phantom Thieves once again decide to restore the people's freedom and take down Maruki in an absolutely beautiful and heartbreaking final fight. Ultimately, the Phantom Thieves manage to get back into their own reality, in which they are free to choose their own paths and are determined to make their goals come true for themselves, even though their perfect world is not what they obtain. Persona 5 Royal's ending is a bittersweet goodbye. In this ending, Joker again heads back to his hometown with his criminal record cleared, except this time taking the train. His friends drop him off before Maruki shows up, working as a taxi driver, which indicates that he is now letting people choose their own destination in life rather than doing it for them. After making his way to the station, Joker has one last exchange with Yoshizawa before leaving for his hometown. The final shot shows him looking in his reflection while contemplating on his journey as a phantom thief, but ultimately deciding to move on with his life and begin a new chapter while taking off his fake glasses, symbolizing that he won't hide his true self any longer. So, which ending is better? That's a tough question to answer. In vanilla Persona 5, it seems like everyone is sort of cruising through life without really giving their own roots much thought. Royal's ending is much more complex and involves them undertaking much more decision making and sacrifices in order to get what they want. It's a beautiful conclusion to the new story Atlus created, though it doesn't provide the same sense of fulfillment as riding off into the sunset with your friends. To be honest, after beating the game, it left me feeling quite empty. However, I developed a strong liking for it after I gave it some thought. The two endings, in my opinion, are interconnected, and treating them separately is a mistake. The two climaxes create a full arc for Joker, one which finishes impersonally with a bullet, while the other being a fist fight between two men who respect and care for one another yet refuse to give up on their ideals. In turn, the endings also reflect that, Vanilla's being way more cheerful and carefree, while Royal's being more bittersweet and personal. Both endings excel at what they try to do, and it's all really a matter of opinion. There is no objective answer. That is why I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and subscribe.